KREM 2 Morning News begins now.
Welcome to KREM 2 Morning News on the CW22. It is 7 a.m. now on this Tuesday. I'm Brittany Bailey.
And I'm Jen York.
And I'm Evan Irani.
Thanks so much for being with us this morning. We start another chilly day here in the inland Northwest. We are tracking one school delay this morning. The Reardon-Edwall School District will be on a 2-hour delay.
I gotta say, it was one of those mornings where I stepped outside and went, oh, you know.
Yeah. Cold. You could feel it in your fingertips. I was driving with my gloves.
Exactly, and we're mentioning one school delay this morning, maybe anticipating more going into tomorrow, right?
Yeah, that's because you're the bearer of bad news this morning.
Yeah, exactly, and unfortunately, I guess, if we want the good news, it is that we're starting off our morning with a lot of dry weather around us, cloudy skies. It's gonna stay dry through about our afternoon, but changes are on the way, right?
That's
So let's take a look. Last 20 hours, those temperatures warmed up a little bit from the single digits at least. We were at 9 degrees around 3 a.m., made our way to 13 degrees now into the 7 o'clock hour. But the big story of the morning is going to be those precipitation chances. You see how much those jump after noon. We'll see a good chance of it going into your 3 and 4 o'clock hour, a 70% chance, which is pretty widespread. And that's the big weather story, is just how much snow to expect. So you can see going into your afternoon, that's the best chance for it. Temperatures are not going to be making their way to or above freezing, so we're going to stay in the 20s all day long. 26 degrees will likely be that afternoon high, 26 or 27 degrees. And the big thing is that this is kind of a slow-moving system. So we're going to see the snow begin this evening, continue through tomorrow afternoon and evening, and maybe even into your Thursday morning, dropping at least 3 to 4 inches on the Spokane region, which could bring us to the second snowiest February on record. Right now we are in 4th place. Again, we could jump up to 2nd place by the time we get to the end of the week. So we're keeping an eye on that. The clock just hit 7:02. I want to throw things over to Amber Respachon, who's going to let us know what the roads look like to start off our morning. Hi, Amber.
Good morning. Well, it is shaping up to be a pretty quiet Tuesday morning commute, so good news for anyone who is about to start their day. If you are going to hop on the freeway, either eastbound or westbound lanes, you should still be able to go 60 miles per hour, even though we are seeing a few more drivers on the road than we typically do at this hour. But I will keep an eye out in case anything does start to slow down. That's all I have for now, so I will go ahead and send it back to the studio.
All right, Amber, thank you so much. 7:02 now. February is Black History Month, and a Spokane woman is celebrating more than just the strides of other Black Americans, but also a milestone of her own.
KREM 2's Kiara O'Fallon is live in the newsroom this morning to tell us about the Black Lens newspaper and its start in Spokane. Good morning, Kiara.
Yes, good morning. Sandy Williams is a one-woman operation, and she has played a very crucial role in the Black community in Spokane for the past 4 years. Readers say her newspaper is one of the reasons why Spokane is steadily becoming a more inclusive community.
It gives us such a different perspective than any of the other newspapers.
Through the lens of a Black woman living in Spokane, Sandy Williams runs a newspaper out of the basement in her home. She is her own news staff, even teaching herself to lay out and design a newspaper.
Taught as in I've made it so that I can figure out how to put it together.
Williams refers to this part of the newspaper process as her time underground, getting ready for the next issue of the Black Lens.
I place the columns and the ads first. The last thing that I do is the stuff that I have to write myself.
At first, the paper was more of a part-time hobby. That quickly changed.
I took a leap in the middle of 2015 and I quit my job.
A leap that a very small minority would come to appreciate.
I started out, my idea was that I was going to do just happy stories about people in Spokane because a lot of the news that focuses on the African American community is negative. That lasted about 5 minutes because I ended up needing to cover stories that weren't getting covered in other places.
That first her story printed on the front page of the very first issue of the Black Lens. Williams could not ignore the release of a Department of Justice review of excessive force used by the Spokane Police Department. This report surfacing 8 years after the death of a white man beaten at the hands of a Spokane police officer. But what stood out to her in that report was a section on race, stating that there were no racial disparities in SPD's use of excessive force.
So I read the report. That wasn't exactly accurate because the population, African American population is 2%, racial disparities were 10%, so it's disparate. And I thought, well, if I don't say that, then it won't get out there. So that became the first story, and so in that moment, it was like one of those moments where in that moment, the paper took a turn from sort of being this sort of casual kind of let me tell happy stories to I think there's a role for me to tell stories that aren't getting told. Good, are you here for the Black Lens?
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yay, thank you for coming. I did not imagine that I would be doing this after 1 year.
4 years later, and Williams has gained a community of readers happy to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of the newspaper she nurtured into a conversation, bringing many together.
When there's a small population, it's hard to connect with each other, it's hard to find each other, it's hard to know what's going on. Communities feel comfortable and feel empowered when they have an ability to communicate and connect with each other.
A power producing great force as a crowd of supporters fill a restaurant to standing room only.
You do a great job.
Thank you very much.
Just someone else's story. I can't live that story, so I get to hear what other people think.
I just think it's important for us to have a voice, and I think that Black Lens is a newspaper that lets us have a voice.
The anniversary party is over, but there is still work to be done for the February issue of the Black Lens.
Yeah, these are slipperier.
That is if you call stuffing papers in good company work.
I think we have a good time.
I never knew that she was going to grow up and be like this, you know?
Curtis made the mistake of telling me that he was retired and he didn't have anything to do, so.
So he and Pam do this with Williams and her mom every single month.
Do you get paid?
Right.
With kindness.
Give her lots of hugs. When I first started stuffing the paper, it was me and my mom, but there were probably, about 20 of them, I think.
Now she has help.
I take full advantage of the fact that Curtis and Pam are free and make themselves available to come over here and help out.
Now comes the hard part. Each month, Williams sets out to deliver her papers, her voice, to the community.
When I printed the first issue, I sat in the car. I had all the papers on my back seat, and I sat in the car, and I was like, okay, what do I do now? So I called my daughter, and I was sitting in the car on the phone with my daughter. I said, I have all these newspapers on my back seat. What do I do now? And she said, hand them out. It felt like a huge responsibility, and I felt a bit presumptuous to assume that I could be a voice for a community.
Hey, that's Sandy from Black Lens. How you doing, sweetie?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great. I've been here for 40-some years, and I've never seen a black-owned newspaper like this one here. It gives a lot of information to the black citizens of the country and the black residents of Spokane.
When I bring the papers, like people get really excited. That's really fun for me. I love when someone approaches me and says, hey, I read something or I saw something, I never knew that. Sandy, I never knew that. The other side, there's been a little bit of pushback. There have been voices that have said it's exclusionary, divisive, because I focus on the black community, that somehow that's read by some people as trying to be separatist. Don't really understand that, but that's a voice that's out there. It doesn't come up very often, but it does come up.
It's not an easy task, producing this paper each month.
How do I do it? I don't know. Every month I'm ready to quit.
But then she remembers all of the people who have become involved as readers and contributors.
To be an African-American based newspaper in a community that has 2% African-American people, I'm sort of a dreamer that way. Communities feel comfortable and feel empowered when they have an ability to communicate and connect with each other. That's part of the role that I'm playing, is giving folks an opportunity to, in a safe way, to learn, to experience, and just see an alternate perspective that they probably wouldn't know about or see if the paper didn't exist.
Williams delivers her newspaper to several businesses in the community, so you might have seen it around town. If you are interested in becoming a subscriber, we have a link up to the Black Lens website on our website at KREM.com. I'm live here in the newsroom. Kiara Elfallen, KREM 2 News.
Kiara, thank you so much. It is coming up on 7-Eleven on this Tuesday. Well, if you are feeling the effects of cold and flu season, deal boss Matt Granite has a price drop you won't want to miss.
Plus, taking a look outside, we've got cloudy skies to start off our Tuesday, but snow is on the way. We're talking about just how much to expect after the break.